Hello world, welcome to part 5 of our Monorepo series with pantsbuild or pants for short. Thank you for last time, thank you for the feedback. Let me know if these videos are better or this video is better than previous ones. In the last video, we talked about Docker and adding Docker support with our pantsbuild. We also wrote a Docker file. We built the Docker image. We ran the Docker image using just Docker and also using pants. In today's video, we'll try to tag that image. If you don't know what tagging is, we'll talk more about that shortly. And we'll try to push this to a registry. So we'll push this to Docker Hub registry. And we'll also try to push this to a different registry, which is the Google Cloud Container Registry. So let's get started. So come to our toml file here. And we remember from last time, we had our Docker support that we added here. And we also added this tool to allow Docker to be able to read where our credentials is stored. That's what we did last time. So let's go to the pantsbuild documentation and see how this is done. Then from there, we'll go to Docker Hub registry and see if we can set that up. So first things first, let's go to Docker Hub registry and let's set that up. Let's just show that. So I'm on Docker Hub, and what I need to do here is sign in to Docker Hub. So I can just click sign in. I already have an account that I created some time ago, and I can hit sign in. So if you don't know what the URL is, the URL is hub.docker.com, hub.docker.com. And when I come to my repositories, I already have one repository I created. So I'll just go ahead and delete this repository. The reason is Docker Hub allows you to have just one public repository and one private repository. All the other repositories are public. So that's one of the things with Docker Hub. It just allows you to use one private repository. All the other repositories are all public. So we can create a repository here if we want, or I can delete the previous one I had. Let's just make this public. I'll delete the previous one I had, and we'll just add more to this. So I'll just call this YouTube Monorepo. I'll say Monorepo series. So think of a repository as the folder where you store your image. So if you think of it as, you have like a cabinet, and then inside that cabinet you have different sections inside that cabinet. So think of a repository rather as one of the sections of this cabinet where you will store your image. So I have a name here, and I'll just give it a description: YouTube Monorepo series, and then we hit create. Good. So now we see the repo that I have. This is the name of the repo that I have. So if I come to repositories, you will see that I have two repos here. All right. You see that I have two repos here. So now we have the repo here, and we can see how to push. And I think somewhere below we'll see like how to I think it's somewhere here, I can't remember, but pretty much this is how to push from local to this repo. Good. So now we have our repo set up. Let's go back to the pants documentation now to see how we can tag our image and how we can get our image from our local system up to this place so that other people can see what our Docker image looks like and they can consume it. So I have the pants documentation here, and we just need to come to Docker, come to tagging, Docker image. And we see that it has a build configuration here that tells us the name and tells us the registry that we are tagging to, right? So we can add this build configuration here to our build file, and that will allow us to be able to tag our images locally. That will also allow us to be able to push our image up to wherever we want it to go to. So let's do that. Okay, good. So let's go to our build file. So I have my build file here. Remember last time we were working in our task API folder, and we had our build file here that specified all the targets for pants. So we see that from last time we have a target called Docker image, and the name of that target was this name. So now I want to add tag to this image so that whenever we build this image, we have a tag to it. So I'll just build this image first to show what the tag will be by default, and then we'll try adding a tag to this image. So I'll just run pants package everything. Good. So we'll see that the image is created. I will see that it's with a tag of latest. We see the SHA of the image. So let's go to our Docker desktop. So I have my Docker desktop here. I'll just refresh this, and we can see the name of the image. And we can see, oopsie, I'll go a level back, scroll down again. We can see the name of the image here. Not sure if I can make this bigger. We can see the name of the image here. Okay, I think that's much better. We can see the name of the image here, and also we can see the tag. The tag is latest, right? But latest is not always good because we don't know what tag we are working with. So let's try to give it an image tag. So go back to our VS Code. So we come here and we add image underscore tags, and then we give it a tag we want. This is a list. If you check the documentation, you will see this image underscore tags. We'll just give it a tag of 1.0. Let's just assume that this is our first release. So let's build this again. So pants package everything. Good. So now we see the tag is being added to our Docker image. So now we are able to reference our Docker image to know what tag we're working with, right? We'll take this a step further. Let's try to use a date stamp or a commit hash. So we'll come to our documentation and see how we can use like a commit hash. So if you scroll down, you'll see that you can add a build args here, and we can reference that here to use a commit hash. And this is not just for commit hash, you can also use like a date timestamp, whatever you want to use. So let's add a date timestamp instead to this. So I'll copy that. So I'll come to my toml file here, and let's call this today, just to say, or let's call this date time. And for us to be able to use that, we just need to add that to this tag. So we'll say dash, we'll add build underscore args dot what we called it. So we called it date time here. And a runtime or a build time, that's when we'll update what this is, right? So we can kind of create something fake and say export date underscore time is equal to, I'll just choose some random time. Okay, and then we can run a pants package and see. Good. So now we'll see that this was created with a tag I wanted and also appended a date time. So you could use this when you're in dev, building your features out. You could use the SHA, and eventually when you want to release, you can use the tag to show what version you're releasing. All right, this is a very good way to kind of release in your CI automatically, and you can specify the version you're releasing. So now let's see how we can get this version from our local system to Docker Hub registry. Now, a Docker registry or a container registry is just a place in the cloud where you store all your images. You can store all the images, and the images can be accessible across the world. If it's public, accessible to everybody, or if it's private, it's accessible to people within your organization. It just makes it easier for you to share your images, for you to reuse your images from teams to teams. So let's see how we can push this to our own Docker Hub registry. So let's go back to a Docker Hub registry. So I have that open here, and we can see the name. This is the repository, and then this is the name of what we want to store. All right, so it means that if I want to push to this specific registry, this specific repository, I have to use this full name, which is kind of, it's kind of weird. So instead, I'll push to this one that I have. We could use the name, but I just don't want to change the name. So I'll push to this one that I have. I already have some images there. I'll just delete all these images, and then we push to them back to see if it works, right? So I'll just delete them. Cool. So now I've deleted them. Now I'll try to push this registry, and you see the path is, so if you come to repository, you'll see the name of the path is I need Docker again / the name of whatever I want to push, right? So I'll go back to, so now I'm in my VS Code. I'll clear this, and I can use either the public one I created earlier, or I can use any one. I have two repositories, one public, one private. So let's first of all push the private repository. We'll come back to our documentation. Yeah, we can scroll. I think you scroll to the top. You see, we just did this. We just did this. If you scroll to the very top, you'll see how to add registries. So we'll just add registry. Yeah. Okay, so let's push this to the Docker Hub registry. So we'll say pants publish. We use the publish means to push, and we'll run this to push this to the Docker Hub container registry. Okay, so that's completed. Let's go to our Docker Hub container registry and see that. So if I refresh this, good, I can see the 1.0 tag. Yeah, so we see that this has been pushed. If I click this, I can literally see everything that I copied. Yeah, so we can literally see everything, yeah, which again, that's awesome. So let's say I want to push to a different repo, right? Let's say I want to push to this repo, and I want to use the folder name, right? There are different ways to do this. Let's go to the documentation so I show how to do this. So you could use the directory name. You can use the parent directory name. So you can dynamically create the name of the image you're pushing. Or you can use the full directory name, whatever you want to use. You could use any of these. So let me show how you can use this, the directory name. So I'll copy this and go back to my VS Code. I'll just replace that with this. And this will use the directory name or the folder name. And the name of this folder is Task API. And I'll just make this unique. Call this directory name. That's the tag, and let's push this again. So this will build, this will tag, and then this will push. Let's go. Yeah, this is where we'll push it to. I can open that and I can see that that's been tagged. Now you notice that that was tagged based on the folder name, which is task underscore API. And that's because inside my VS Code, in that target, I specified this task underscore API directory. So you see that here, I'm able to say whatever the folder name is. And this is really great because now you can dynamically push to the repository that you want, and you can dynamically just specify the folder name. So now we've been able to achieve a few things. We've been able to tag our Docker image. We've also been able to push our Docker image to Docker Hub Container Registry. Now let's try to do this on Google Cloud. You could actually use any Docker registry that you want. So you have Docker registry on GitLab, GitHub, or you have this on AWS, Azure. You could use Azure Container Registry, or you have this on Google Cloud. You could use this same idea on Google Cloud. So let's go to Google Cloud Console and set up the registry that we want to work with. So I have my Google Cloud. Yeah, I'm on the Google Cloud dashboard. So I go to dashboard and I'll look for in CI/CD. I'll go to my container registry. So I can come to container registry here. And container registry, Google Cloud now uses something different. Google Cloud now uses Artifactory, one single point for all their registry. So they use it to store all the libraries, and they use it to store the registry that you need. So you can see I already have one created here, Docker media, social media, and this is a Docker registry. So if I open that, you'll see there is no repository here that is set up, right? So I can come to my setup instructions here, and I can set this up here, right? So I can copy that and I can set this up locally. All I'm trying to do is set up the authentication between my local system and Google Cloud. So that will enable me push my Docker image from my local system to Google Cloud Artifactory or Google Cloud Container Registry. So let's go back to our VS Code. So I'll clear this, and I already have Google Cloud installed on my system, the Google Cloud SDK. So if you don't know how to install that, I'll put the link in the description below. You can follow that to install that, or watch subsequent videos where I show how to set this up from scratch. So I'll say gcloud auth and I'll say login. Remember what I wanted to do with Docker Hub, we say Docker login, and that logged in directly to Docker Hub, right? For this, we just say gcloud auth login. And this will take me to authentication. I just have to authenticate, and then I just have to continue and pretty much allow all of this SDK to access my profile, and I can, do authentication completely. So this is done. So I just click this and I can clear this out. This is completed. So next thing is I'll just paste what I copied earlier. So this is gcloud auth configure docker, and this is the name of the registry. This setup instruction, yeah. So I'll run this. Good. So you see that this set up the credential that I need, but this is stored in gcloud credential store. So that is telling me that this registry uses this application, gcloud, which is installed locally, to be able to push images from my local system up to the gcloud container registry. So for me to be able to use this, for me to be able to push this, a few things I need to change. So one of them is I need to update my registry to this. So I'll copy this and I'll just replace this to this registry. Good. So now I have this saying that this is the registry I want to work with. And then I'll go to my gcloud registry and see what is the name of the repository I have there. So on my gcloud, I don't have any repository set up right now. So we'll see if this can be created automatically for us. And for me to be able to use that, I just need to specify the full reference. So I'll specify this name, this name, this name, and that will push it to where I want it to go. So I'll just copy this. And I'll specify that here. So this is saying this is how you get to that repository. This is the path used to get to that repository. So I think I might have a mistake here. I think it should be since I already specified the registry. Yeah, can you see? So all I need to do is to specify the project and then specify the container registry that I created, and then this will be the repository name and this will be the tag. So I can just replace this just so it's much more cleaner. So now we have this configuration set up. This configuration already tells us what to do and how to push this. So let's try to push this to gcloud container registry. We're going to encounter some errors and I'll show how to fix those errors. So let's clear this first. Good. And let's do a push, a publish. So we see that this failed. We got a few errors saying that this doesn't have access to publish to this artifact. And if you go to gcloud, you will see that we already have the right permission. So if I go to gcloud here and I go to settings, I come to permissions. Yeah, I see I already have a writer permission, so I'm good. Yeah, and besides, I'm an owner. Yeah, so I'm pretty much good. I'm an owner and I already have write permission. So permission is not really the problem. Yeah, the problem is a different thing. So how do we fix this? So the way we fix this is we come to pants here, and if you remember earlier in our config, in our code config, it told us that we're using something else to store this. So if I do code and then I open the config file, docker config.json, we'll see that the regular Docker does this one. The Docker registry uses the OS keychain. And this keychain is where the credential or the access token is stored within my local system. On Windows, it uses WinCred to securely store the access code. For gcloud, this is the application that uses gcloud, right? And if you already set up gcloud locally, you would have this already installed. So you see gcloud here. So I need to use this. I'll just clear this so everything is clean. Come to my tools here, and then I need to add that. Yeah, so Pants now knows how to authenticate to the environment I want to authenticate to. And that was gcloud. Good. So now we can try this. Let's see. Okay. So we get another error. and I'll show how to fix that error. I think it's still the same error we'll get. Good. So we see a few errors. Yeah, telling us that read link command cannot be found, dir name cannot be found, and gcloud cannot be found. Just some regular errors. So let's try to fix those errors. So I'll just put this on a few line, and there's a documentation on this. So scroll to the bottom. I think it's yeah. So we see the fix here, so we can copy this and we'll go back and we just add that here. Okay, so that will fix the error of saying read link not found, dir name not found, read link not found, and all these errors. That will literally take all these errors away, but we'll still have this same error will still be there, and I'll show how to fix it, or a different error will still be there. So as you can see, this is still running for some time. The reason for this is, I'll just stop this. The reason for this is it's unable to find the Python interpreter that we are working with. That's why we have this error. And I currently use PyEnv to manage multiple versions of Python. But when this is running, when gcloud is running, this gcloud tool or application within my local system, it doesn't know where Python 3 resides, right? And that's why it's throwing this error. And we say that it should use Python 3, but it doesn't know where this thing resides. And that's because I'm using PyEnv. I have multiple versions of Python installed. So a quick fix to this is to create a file. So you can create a file at the root here, and you can call that file .pantsbootstrap. And everything you throw into this file will run before your pant execution runs, right? So you can do like any setup you want, any environment variable setup you want to do, you can do them pretty much here, and it will run before pants runs. So what I will type there is, I'll type the environment variable, I'll export cloud SDK Python, and I'll say the $, and then I'll run this command. So pretty much what I'm trying to do here is run this command, right? That's really big, but I think there's a lot more better. So what I'm trying to do is to run this command, right? So I can run this command to say which Python 3. So this would tell me where Python 3 lives. I think on Windows you do like where Python 3, I'm not sure, or you can just hard code the path here to where Python 3 lives. So now when I run this command, when I run pants publish, this will always run before any pants command runs. This is just an error on gcloud. It doesn't know where Python 3 is installed, and we are specifying to use Python 3 here, and it doesn't know where that lives, right? So now I can try my publish. So you see I still have this error. And then one more thing, we need to add this environment variable, cloud SDK underscore Python. We need to pass it into the Docker, into the Pants sandbox. Remember I say that Pants runs everything in a sandbox. Sandbox is like an isolated environment. It will throw all the libraries that you need in all the environment variable and run it inside that sandbox. That's just to ensure that every time you get the same result. So we'll add that into this place so Pants knows how to inject that into the path. And the way to do that is we need to specify the envs, and then we add the envs that we want to specify. And the env we want to specify is this. So it's going to add this, and whatever this environment variable is, which is what we set here, is going to copy this and then put that inside the sandbox container. So I'll clear this and then I'll run publish again. Good and good. Now we see we're able to publish this. So to fix this error, like I was saying, this is all you need to do. Specify what Python version is and just tell the pantsbuild context for Docker to also include this in the path, and then you're good to go. So let's verify if this was actually pushed to Google Cloud. So I come to social media, and great, I can see task API. If I open that, and cool, I can see the 1.1 that I pushed. And if we go back to our README, so go back to our README, and we'll update all the things that we've done so far. So we're able to tag the image, we're able to push to Docker Registry, we're also able to push to Google Cloud Registry. In the next video, we'll build a library that will compile that to wheel, and we'll push to the PyPy registry, and we'll also push to Google Cloud Registry. And that will conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the content, subscribe, leave feedback below. If you have some questions, feel free to ask questions. The code will be in the description below. Thank you. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.